haven't been this overwhelmed about a suggestion for a TV show or a movie in some time, but the comments have not stopped coming in about new Netflix show Baby Reindeer. Please see the time codes down below if you want to jump around this video. We're going to be talking about a lot today. I sat down to watch the 7-part drama, thriller, bio Netflix TV show, and let me tell you, I did not move until it was over. I was glued to the couch and hypnotized to the screen. This show is terrifying, tragic, insightful, disturbing, and brilliant, all at the same time. Scottish entertainer Richard Gadd wrote and stars as the lead in the series because it's based on his one-man show and real-life experience. In this series, he is Donnie Dunn, a struggling, quote, comedian, in his words, not mine, and he works in a bar to make ends meet, but one day he meets Martha, a seemingly pleasant, lonely woman who takes a liking to him. But as he learns more about Martha, he also realizes that his past may be catching up with him. This show is sold to the audience as a stalker TV show, but let me tell you, there is so much more. This quirky, dark drama might start with a charming narration by the author, which does carry through the whole show, but it spirals into something else. A place you won't recognize very far down the rabbit hole, but what it reveals is a surprising and insightful lesson on why we react the way we do, and how trauma can really shape a person and affect everyone around them. The show also sits in an uncomfortable place where we as the audience are asked to watch everything unravel but not pick a side. It doesn't want to have any moral stance. It's something that's challenging to accept as an audience member, but because of this, the show is able to go deeper and risk a lot. It is a complicated story and it's not trying to undermine that. And the greater the risk, especially with such a raw and vulnerable story, the better the reward. There is no hero to this story. As I said, I watched the whole series in one go and it was not hard. It's an important show that is highly disturbing, and please, I really do mean that, check out the content warnings if you need any guidance for that. The show isn't just a well-told story, but it's a detailed personal account of abuse and the cycle it can take. Both Jessica Gunning as Martha and Richard Gadd as Donnie are knockout performances that never slip once. And with the nature of both of their characters, they have to hold firm, a guarded, mysterious exterior, and then also break into a million pieces. The range they both provide in these roles is magic. And this is all wrapped up in a thrilling, charismatic, jaw-dropping series. And by the end, you'll want to give a standing ovation to Richard Gadd, who not only wrote one of the most vulnerable pieces of TV I've seen in years, but performed it himself. He is immensely talented and deserves a lot of praise for everything he put into this series. If I had to give a rating to the show, I would give it a 9 out of 10. What a fantastic, disturbing, yet cathartic ride. But all of this had me thinking, what is the true story? And for those who haven't seen the series, I urge you to go watch it for all of the reasons I've just described. I'm going to get into some spoilers. I think we should do a quick recap of what happened. If you aren't going to watch the series, you can stay. Although, of course, all the details and nuances are lost in this description. I do highly recommend checking out this series for yourself, but if you cannot handle it, let's get into it. The show starts with Donnie going into a police station looking for help. We now go back to the start where we see Donnie meeting Martha for the first time at his place of work. Martha asks for a cup of tea, and without being able to pay, Donnie says it's on the house. One simple gesture starts off this entire series. Martha begins to show up at every single one of Donnie's shifts, and it's not long before we see signs of obsession. Martha then finds Donnie's email address and starts sending him a wide range of emails daily, some threatening, some loving, and some just strange, all signed from my iPhone, even though they are emails. Just one of her strange little quirks. But as her digital words start to become real life threats, Donnie doesn't react the way we as an audience expect him to. Every opportunity he has to tell someone or set boundaries, he pulls away. And over time, he loses a lot, including his potential girlfriend, his home, and end his career. The weird thing is he becomes fascinated with Martha in a way, both attracted to her but disgusted by her. This is when the show delves into his past and we go back in time. This holds the key to Donnie's reactions. We go back a few years to when he considers his first big break in comedy, working at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, where he is given a small bar residency with a pay-what-you-feel audience. Here he ends up networking and coming into contact with a show writer called Darren. Darren lures him in, promising him a big break. Partying with Darren, Donnie thinks he may have just found the person who will change his career, but Darren ghosts him. Donnie eventually moves to London and in with his girlfriend and her mother while he attends acting school. But suddenly Darren reappears, offering Donnie an exciting role in an upcoming project. This is where the truth comes out. Darren slowly but aggressively grooms Danny, holding success over his head and coaxing him to take illicit substances with him privately in his home. And it's not long before Darren has created a routine in which it's expected that Donnie will come over and comply with his demands to have any future in comedy, expecting him to come to his house and get high with him, blacking out most times. And this is when Darren starts to abuse Donnie sexually during these sessions, and it just gets worse. The shame of it all keeps Donnie from speaking out, but it also sends Donnie into a period of intense self-discovery as he questions himself, his identity, and his sexuality. In the process, he loses his girlfriend and love of comedy. Back at the present day, he is at the lowest point, but he finally gets a chance at winning a show with his stand-up routine. But with all of the pressure he's under from everything going on with Martha and his past catching up with him, he cracks and reveals everything on stage, finally admitting to himself and everyone what happened with his sexual assault and why this warps his perception with Martha. He admits to himself that he never felt he could turn Martha in, since he was not able to report Damien. Obviously, his feelings are very complex, but this is the short form. A video of the stand-up goes viral. Martha, seeing the video, threatens to tell his parents about his assault, so he confesses to his parents about what happened. And to his surprise, his father shares that he is also a survivor of sexual abuse. Martha somehow gets Donnie's number and begins sending him voicemails, which eventually leads to her arrest after one of her hundreds of voicemails threatens his parents. Donnie is overwhelmed by the outcome and everything that has transpired. He attempts to confront Damien, but ends up having somewhat of a cordial meeting with him. Leaving in tears, he clings to the remaining voicemails of Martha, the ones that he has not listened to yet. One reveals why Martha called him Baby Reindeer. It was the loving name of her toy as a child who used to make her feel safe when her parents would fight, revealing that that was what he was to her. Safety. The TV show ends when he is in the bar listening to this voicemail and realizes that he can't pay for his drink. The bartender offers to cover the price, giving us a full circle moment. But with this crazy show being based on real life, what really happened? Well, before Baby Reindeer was a TV show, it was a one-man show at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, which does again feel like a full circle moment because that's where we saw all of the events kind of transpire and how he met Damien. Obviously, this is probably not how he really met him. People said it was a dark comedic performance detailing all of the events that we hear about in Baby Reindeer, the TV show now. He would do the impression himself of Martha, it was a one-man show, and explain the trauma and how that fed into his warped perception and relationship with her. After Fringe, it became a massive hit, so they moved to London, and this is where someone watched it and then picked it up for a Netflix TV show. And then they had to transform the whole one-man show into a larger picture and try, put places and different characters in there for a TV show and really flesh it out. Okay, it's time. Who was the real Martha? Richard said that he's changed the real-life Martha's details to keep her anonymous, stating that he went to such great lengths to disguise her to the point that I don't think she would even recognize herself. He said what's been borrowed is an emotional truth, not a fact-by-fact profile. Although Richard really wanted to maintain her privacy, and I totally understand why, her identity has been leaked online. I would really recommend, if you respect Richard, and I'm sure you do if you've seen the show, to not look this up. And I just want to confirm for you, so you don't have to look any further, that she is a different person. But the wording they use, the phrases, that she used in the TV show are spot on. It's crazy how similar what she said and the tones used were. I really don't feel like it's too far from the truth. But Richard really didn't want to portray Martha as a villain. He said that she is mentally unwell and that the system has failed her. So that's why he wants to protect her identity. In the series, Martha was in prison for 9 months for stalking. However, in real life, Martha's fate remains a mystery, with Richard stating that the matter was resolved. He also said he didn't want to imprison someone like Martha, stating, "I didn't want to throw someone who was that mentally unwell into prison." Obviously, just like the show, there is a complicated relationship between the two, and you can see that Richard really feels for Martha in her situation. And his real life actions show that. What I can say, because Richard has confirmed this, in the TV show, we only see them communicate via voicemails, emails, and Facebook messaging. But the truth is so much more intense, I think. In reality, Richard received a staggering amount of messages, over 41,000 emails, 350 hours of voicemail, 744 tweets, 46 Facebook messages via 4 fake Facebook accounts, and 106 pages of letters. I think that this is extreme, a lot more than what we could have imagined from the TV show, especially the letters and the tweets they didn't even touch on. It's also really interesting because I feel like this is a one and done TV show, not something that you'll really want to put yourself through twice, maybe not. And Richard has admitted on retrospect why he thinks he was first attracted to Martha or really let her in his life. He said that her appeal was truly because she was the only person who laughed at his jokes, and as a struggling comedian, it's what he needed at the time. But also, and this is pretty obvious from the TV show, but she adored him, and while he was still struggling with his own identity, finding someone who made him feel like a man when he felt emasculated by his abuse was very attractive to him. But he has said that ultimately he does feel like he was using her, and he was aware of that. And he said what happened to him was punishment for that. I don't know if I would equate them to the same thing necessarily, but really interesting to hear what he thought looking back on that situation. Okay, some other characters that I was really interested to learn the truth about. Terry, she was a real person. They were together, and he said that she was the voice of reason, and he regrets not listening to her at the time more. I would love to know what she is really like and what she thinks of it. I was also interested to hear about Richard's parents. He thought it was really important to put in the show what they had done for him, but he has urged them not to watch the show because he feels like he's already put them through enough and they worry about him too much, and this would cause even further worrying. It has not been confirmed whether the father's backstory is a reflection of any truth, but I obviously understand either way why they wouldn't want to confirm that. But something that has been confirmed is the way the police interacted with him. Richard struggled in real life getting help from the police, and it was a long process to get Martha to stop or to get any kind of intervention at all. He did confirm in a way that he allegedly was told to keep listening to the voicemails and to keep his phone number so that maybe he would get some dirt or some way to catch her out and get his case expedited. Obviously, this is exactly the same as what happens in the TV show with the threats to the parents. I'm not too sure if that's what actually caught her out, but it sounds like it was something that she said threatening. It's so sad to hear that it takes that much to get help in this kind of situation. But the show obviously highlights the gray area with stalking, especially with him doing the whole peeping as well. That is something that was really important to keep in there, is the gray area. But the best part of all of this is what Richard's intentions truly were with the show. He said that he is overwhelmed with the headlines and the way that this show has taken the world by storm. He can't believe that it's garnered the attention it has so fast, and he stated that he hopes it helps other victims realize what happened to them doesn't have anything to do with their character, emphasizing the importance of facing one's truth and shedding light on the complexities of abuse and grooming. It's an important story to tell because it shows not how all abuse is instant and how a lot of abuse can occur in very intimate relationships. He said, "I wanted to," and I quote, "show just how complicated and psychologically messed up situations can get to too. He wants this show to provide peace for survivors, and he believes it details how coming to terms with your own truth can set you free and let you live an authentic life. What an amazing show, and it sounds like it's based on a lot of truth, which is super surprising. Anytime I see based on, I'm like, But this one sounds pretty spot on, and from what I've seen, it truly mimics what happened in real life. Richard has said time and time again in interviews that when Jessica, who played Martha, would say her lines, sometimes he couldn't even answer because he was so shocked how similar she was to Martha, and it would just throw him off completely. And with that, I would love to ask what you thought of Baby Reindeer, and also, is there a TV show or a movie that you find quite similar in tone or subject matter to this? I would love to get your recommendations, and I'm sure everyone else who enjoyed this series would love that too. Don't forget, I have a bunch of other disturbing content that is recently out if you want to check out some movies that traumatized me and that traumatized you. I'll talk to you all very soon. Stay safe and stay spooky. Bye, friends. Stay safe. I mean it this time. Stay safe.